Euphoric crowds filled streets in the capital on Saturday morning and cars honked their horns. "It's like Christmas," said one marcher, Fred Mubay. He said Zimbabweans had been suffering for a long time and were now, finally, happy. Many carried national flags. One had a poster with a message for the 93-year-old president, "Leave Zimbabwe now," while a vendor at an intersection held up a newspaper with the headline, "Mugabe cornered." The army seized power 4 days ago, but Mugabe has refused its demands to leave office. The military and senior officials within the ruling ZANU party now appear set on forcing Mugabe out within 48 hours. Few options are open to the veteran autocrat, who has ruled Zimbabwe through a mixture of coercion, bribery and revolutionary rhetoric for nearly 4 decades. Support in some branches of the security establishment, such as the police, has evaporated and many political supporters have been detained. The march, which has been sanctioned by the military, will demonstrate popular support for the takeover and a return to democracy. However, moves within ZANU may prove the decisive factor in forcing Mugabe to step down. By late Friday afternoon, all 10 of the country's provincial ZANU branches had passed motions of no confidence in the president. These could lead to Mugabe being stripped of office by Sunday, one official told The Guardian. The state broadcaster ran a headline, "ZANU call for Mugabe to step down," which would have been unthinkable a week ago, underlining the pace of change in the small southern African state. Earlier on Friday, Mugabe, who had been confined to his residence in the upscale neighborhood of Borrowdale since the takeover, attended a university graduation ceremony on the outskirts of Harare. Clad in academic gown and hat, he walked slowly in a procession on a red carpet to a podium as a marching band played. He was applauded as he announced the opening of the ceremony. On Friday morning, an army statement describing significant progress was broadcast on national television and published by state-run media. The statement appeared to have been aimed at quelling growing concerns that the military takeover could descend into chaos. Saturday's march was organized by the powerful associations representing veterans of the former British colonies' liberation wars. At a press conference on Friday, Chris Muvangwa, a leader of Zimbabwe's war veterans, said the president would not be allowed to remain in power. "Between now and tomorrow we are giving a very stark warning to Mugabe, his wife and anyone who wants to be associated with him that the game is up, finished," Muvangwa said, to applause from the audience of journalists. He urged Zimbabweans to attend the march, "So we finish the job the army has started." The main opposition party, the Movement for Democratic Change, said the military takeover resonated with the national public sentiments and was hence irreversible in effect and fact. Dumizo Dibengwa, a former Home Affairs Minister and Liberation War veteran, congratulated the military on the initiative they took to block the rise of Grace Mugabe, the president's 52-year-old wife. 99% of people want Mugabe to go. He is no longer in charge. Grace is in charge and Zimbabweans cannot fold their arms and let a character of that nature to lead. She had to be stopped. Dibengwa told reporters in Johannesburg, South Africa. Since taking power, the military has arrested about a dozen senior officials and leading members of the G40, a faction of ZANU who are loyal to the First Lady. Grace Mugabe has not been seen since the takeover. Sources told The Guardian she was in her husband's Harare residence when he was detained on Tuesday. The takeover is thought to have been prompted in part by fears among the military and its allies within the ruling party of an imminent purge of rivals of the president's wife, which would allow her to exercise greater power. The army has said the takeover was a temporary measure to target criminals around Mugabe, resolving a succession battle that has pitted Grace Mugabe against the former vice-president Emmerson Mnangagwa. Mnangagwa was reported to have returned to Zimbabwe from South Africa, where he fled last week after being stripped of his office by the president as part of the apparent purge. Opposition officials told The Guardian they believed there would eventually be a deal allowing Mnangagwa to be appointed president, leading a transitional government that would include senior opposition leaders in top posts. Associates of the First Lady detained during the takeover would be prosecuted in accordance with law, the official said. There was no independent confirmation of the opposition claims, which one analyst described as optimistic, though negotiations are clearly taking place between multiple political actors. Other possibilities are Mugabe staying on as president until a ZANU conference scheduled for December, or even until elections due in mid-2018. There is anger in Zimbabwe at the lack of explicit support for the military takeover from South Africa, the biggest regional power, the Southern African Development Community Regional Bloc and the African Union. Ian Khama, the president of neighboring Botswana, said on Friday that the military intervention was an opportunity to put Zimbabwe on a path to peace and prosperity. He said, "I don't think anyone should be president for that amount of time. We are presidents, we are not monarchs. It's just common sense."